Hi, this is Elvin, and this is the basics of what makes a good tank in high-end content. Extreme, Savage, and Ultimate fights. I won't go over mechanical skills and rotations, as that is a given to every class in the game. And this is not an in-depth guide, just a general idea of what, in my opinion, makes a good tank. First off, Mitigation Planning. Every tank has 5 kinds of mitigation. Personal cooldown, long cooldown, short cooldown, shared cooldown, rate-wide cooldown, and invulns. I won't go into detail on each mitigation, but if you would like to see it, subscribe and leave a comment down below. As a tank, your main job is to take hits from the boss, and sometimes the boss hits harder than their normal attacks, whether it's a single target or a party-wide hit. This is what we call tank busters and rate-wide damage. And those mitigations will help you and your party on that. But since high-end content got a constant tank busters and rate wides happening, particularly in Savage and ults, you need to plan those mitigations properly. Here's an example for this. At the end of Omega Protocol Phase 1, the Beetle Omega will be targeting 2 farthest players with multiple tank busters, requiring you to use several mitigations. But only around 20 to 25 seconds later, depending on your kill time, the Omega F and Omega M will be targeting both tanks with another heavy tank busters. As most mitigations have more than 60-second cooldown, you won't get most of them up in time. Therefore, you need to plan which mitigation you use on the Beetle TB so you have some for the male and female TB. In this instance, I used Rampart, Camouflage, and Heart of Corundum for the Beetle tank busters, and Nebula plus Heart of Corundum for the Omega female tank busters. Of course, despite all of this, the healers can shield and need to heal you after, but if you die to the initial damage of the tank busters, that's on you. Another thing to pay attention is which rate wides you want to mitigate. Sometimes you need to communicate and plan your mitigation with your co-tank, or even healers. An easy example for this is P5S. After the second Ruby Glow, the third Ruby Glow will happen in less than 60 seconds. This means if both tanks dump their reprisal and rate-wide cooldowns on the second Ruby Glow, the party will be left vulnerable for the third Ruby Glow. Usually, MT wants to reprisal first and ST use reprisal second and take turns for each rate-wide damage. Second, boss positioning. As a tank who holds aggro, the boss will follow you everywhere you go, unless it's an immovable object like P7S or P8S Phase 2. And you need to be aware that you're playing with a party that also needs to do damage to the boss. That's why giving your party the ability to do their job is very important, especially for melees. For example, you shouldn't be doing gap close as your opener without repositioning the boss to the middle. In some fights like P6S, the boss will jump back to the middle to do a specific mechanic. That's why doing a gap close without repositioning like this video here is very bad, since the melees might lose some damage due to their inability to do positional skills when the boss suddenly turns and jumps back to the middle. Of course, they have True North to remove the positionals, but it's great if they can use True North for other mechanics that actually require them to do so. Other than enabling your party to do damage to the boss, positioning is also important for certain mechanics in the game, where the boss's position determines the life and death of the party. A great example for this is Dragonsong's Reprise Phase 7, where Axe Flare is easily dodgeable if the boss is facing north or south. If the boss is facing anywhere else, party will easily wipe, since it's hard to determine a safe spot without the floor markings. And since it's the last phase, the DPS check is super tight and you might not clear the fight at all with a single death. That's why the knowledge of where to position the boss is extremely crucial for tanks. Third, awareness. Awareness is a wide term, and yes, there's a lot of things that you need to be aware of as a tank. And I can talk all day about all the stuff you need to be aware of. Mechanics, how far heals and mitigations can reach you. But that's too general and it applies to every single class in the game. So I will just go with 2 specific things on what I think the tanks must be aware of. The first one being party's position. More than often, you get sucked into your own rotation and hotbar that you forgot to look at your own position or party's position. And then, suddenly a tank buster that cleaves is happening. You kill your black mage for not moving from their ley lines and say,
"That's my spot."
and since he got weakness, you wipe to a 0.1 enrage. So who's at fault? You. You can always be cocky and say that black mage is in the wrong spot, but that's not really a healthy mentality, especially if your party haven't cleared that fight yet. And you just cost 7% a guaranteed clear. There are of course ways to improve this, and the easiest is just by playing other classes. You don't need to do high-end raid for this, just go into dungeons or level them up to learn the toolkit. And by doing this, you will get some good knowledge on other classes and how to respond to their respective skills. The other thing you need to be aware of is party's HP. And this sounds like a healer's job, and it is. But the fact remains that every single tank has skills that can be given to party member in order to save them. Be it Dark Knight's TBN, Warrior's Nascent Flash, Gunbreaker's Heart of Corundum, Paladin's Clemency, Paladin's Cover, Paladin's Intervention. Yes, Paladin is the best class in the game. Every single one of them got the potential to save your party from a wipe, and it's especially important for progressing through high-end content like Savages or Ultimate, since the fight is lengthy enough and it will be much pain if you start all over again when you can literally save your machinist from dying to Giga Flare with a single Heart of Corundum in P7 of DSR. So that's what I think, the 3 basic stuff on what makes a good tank in high-end content. If you think I missed something or you think differently, please leave a comment down below. That's it. See ya.